This is Dave. He really enjoys going to the movies. He's always considerate to his fellow moviegoers. This fellow is disturbing everyone around him. Oh, look, Dave is shutting off his phone. Now is not the time for talking or texting. Oh, well, now look at that. There's a true movie-watching friend. Let's all be more like Dave.
This is M-Wire, Movie Week in Review. M-Wire is brought to you by Audible.com. Sign up today to get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/geekcastradio. Start today with a free 30-day trial with over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. And now the latest and greatest in movies with M-Wire.
When's your mom leaving for Australia?
Oh, in about an hour and a half.
She's leaving you guys all alone?
I'm getting rid of her for 2 whole months. I can go to the beach. I can stay out as late as I want. I can do anything. I'm a free woman.
Hi. Hello to you. I'm Mrs. Jurek. I'm a babysitter.
What?
All right, you little maggots, now line up.
Are you serious?
I'll make your summer a living hell.
Ow! Hey!
TV rots your brain.
It's time we let her know the rules.
Yeah, we outnumber her. Let's kick some butt.
Mrs. Sturek! Miss Sturek? Oh my God. She died in her sleep.
They'll probably blame us.
Hey, be careful.
I got her.
No, I mean my skateboard.
Don't tell Mom the babysitter's dead.
Rock and roll!
Now, Christina Applegate and her brother
What?
bounce back for a summer with
How's my baby?
no rules,
In your dreams, babe.
no curfews, no nagging, no pulse.
Oh, how you doing, Mom? No, Mrs. Sturak's not here. She went to the yarn store.
So, what do you guys want for breakfast?
Cheese omelet. SpaghettiOs.
Breakfast is served. Mow the lawn today, and don't forget to do the dishes, okay?
Dishes are done, man.
Don't tell Mom the babysitter's dead.
Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Movie Week in Review. I'm, of course, TFG1 Mike. Joining me is JT from Saskatoon. Hello.
How you doing?
The dishes are done, man. Oh, God. And I didn't know Homer Simpson could sound so girly.
Don't even get me started on
that. We're here to talk about a 1991 classic movie, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. When did you first see this? Because I was 11 when this came out, so...
This would have been... Let's see, when did it get released?
91.
June, on just like when in 91, so like June 7th, so probably would have been somewhere, I'd say spring or summer 92. This, I commented on Facebook, prior to recording here. This was like one of the first big kid, non-family friendly movies that I got to pick when we would go to, I think it was at Movies R Us back home in Yorkton, because they used to have like 7 movies, 7 days for like $10. The halcyon days of the video cassette. And I picked this one mainly for my unrequited crush / obsession with Kelly Goddamn Bundy, because Christina Applegate is a babe.
Yeah.
But no, I love this movie, and just as I say, when I say this is one of the big kid movies, I mean, this is like, it's not that you can't show kids this, but you want to make sure they're like 10 or 11, like they've seen some, not that they've seen some shit, but they've seen some stuff. And yeah, no, this is like getting out of that 80s mentality of like the Goonies or the Monster Squad, where kids are in the line of the danger, and it ends with the parents hugging them and asking if they're all right. Not, nowadays if you try to make movies like that, the producers and the director would be hung by their toes and burned as heretics. So this is a nice middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, this is a family movie, but it's not your average happy-go-lucky family movie.
Well, I don't know. Kenny seemed pretty happy-go-lucky several times.
That's only because it was enhanced happiness. I mean, I'm saying this isn't an episode of The Cosby Show. This isn't an episode of Small Wonder. This isn't an episode of Politically Incorrect Family Ties. I mean, this is, that movie where it, again, 1991, we were 3.5 years after Married with Children had debuted in 89. So, and obviously Christina Applegate was Kelly Bundy on Married with Children, as you said. And it's one of those things where most people can't pretty much typecast her as Kelly, and some people just can't think of her in any other role. And that's fine, I guess. But for me, this was one of those offbeat family comedies. It wasn't your traditional wacky dad, 25,000 twinkle light kind of movies.
Yeah. No, this was not a safe film.
Well, it's safer than the other 1991 movie that I remember so well, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I mean...
I'm not saying I haven't seen it, but I don't recall if I have seen that or not.
What? How do you not?
Okay, before you start treating me like TV's Mr. Neil, I said that at the caveat. I'm pretty certain I have seen The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, but it might be one of the many films that I've only ever seen once, and for one reason or another have never gone back to it. This was a film that, I know we rented a couple more times, once it came on video, because this was a favorite of mine growing up, and I think it was would have been like the spring of '96. Because I was still in high school, still out in the farm. My dad, I guess, he decided to pop, and we got one of the big old C-band satellite dishes, like that, the 8 foot across, looked like it's catching radio signals from Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
And this, for a time, was in very heavy rotation on, I believe it was Cinemax. Back in the day when Cinemax played, they played big movies, but there was a lot of B-grade action movies, a lot of American Ninja, a lot of House Party 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I watch this whenever I can. But in recent years, I've only seen it, I think maybe twice in the last 10 years, maybe. It's a movie that whenever I dig through the $5 bin at Walmart, there's that mental list you keep in the subconscious of, nope, aha!
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. Man, if I hadn't seen the movie, if I had just been coming into this fresh, having never seen this movie, and I know I thought this back in the day when I saw the trailer for this in front of some movie that we rented, I would have put money down that a subplot in this movie is the besides the kids looking them after themselves, is them having to constantly hide the body.
Thank God that didn't happen.
And that's the thing, though. In 1991, they could have gotten away with like a 10-minute subplot, like just a couple of days of them trying to deal with the dead body before they take it to the funeral home.
No, thank God that never happened. This movie would be so bad if that was part of the plot. That's what happens when you have Canadian people thinking up plot points.
Kentucky.
Hey, you know. Other members of the cast, we have Joanna Cassidy, who we would have seen her back in '88 as Dolores in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
John Getz as Gus Brandon, Keith Coogan as Kenny Crandall, Josh Charles, oh my God. Oh, Josh Charles, Dead Poet Society, everybody, as Brian. Concetta Tomei, no relation to Marissa Tomei, as Mrs. Crandall. Mr. X-File over there, David Duchovny, as Bruce. That was odd to me, even at 11 years old seeing this. That was odd.
Yeah, and the funny thing is with that, like, I remember seeing him in the movie and just thinking, it's like, wow, that guy's a complete bag of douche. And that's kind of his claim to fame at the time before he hit X-Files. But I must have been watching X-Files for like 2 or 3 seasons before I ever saw, like, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead again. It's like, oh yeah, Mulder was in this movie.
Robert Gorman as Walter Crandall is the youngest brother. Danielle Harris as Melissa Crandall. Christopher Petit as Zach. Sadly, he died 17 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. And as I said earlier, Homer Simpson as the animated Mrs. Sturak. Because there are some movies in 1991 that had animated intros. 1991, even earlier than that. I mean, you look at It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. That has an animated intro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Homer Simpson as a woman. Great. I mean, I like it. I enjoy it. I'm not going to sit here and say anything against Dan, but it's one of those things where I was not expecting that to be Homer Simpson.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the cast here. There was a time that throughout the mid to late 90s where I would see Josh Charles in movies and TV shows, most notably Sports Night. Mm-hmm. And it's on the tip of my tongue, help me out, the guy that voiced Superman in Justice League.
George Newbern.
George Newbern. No, those guys were very active in the 90s in a lot of movie and TV shows, and I would sometimes mistake them for each other or think they were the same guy. I mean, I was a kid. What did I know? Mm. But Josh Charles was a guy that I've always kind of been a fan of. Like, I'm not a super fan, but anytime he shows up in anything, I'm in. Like, when he shows up as the Man in Black in Muppets in Space, having a kung fu fight with Miss Piggy. It's like, I love that guy. He was in the SWAT movie with Samuel L. Jackson, Farrell. Like, he's always... That dude that guy's a team player. Like, he works, and he deserves everything he gets. And, like I said, it's Christina Applegate in 1991. I got no complaints.
And the thing about Josh is, when I saw him in this, and I'm like, I remember seeing him in SWAT from 2003, and I'm like, where else have I seen? And it was more this than SWAT, obviously, but because by the time SWAT came out, I'm like, oh hey, it's Knox Overstreet from Dead Poet Society. He's
another movie I don't have in my collection, sadly.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
A great many things, and we don't have enough time to cover.
No, we don't. Some television stuff Josh has done. He was on 4 episodes of 6 Degrees back in 2007. He was in an episode of Law & Order SVU in 2008. I don't know.
The Good Wife.
Yeah. I don't know why the heck he's 4 episodes on Inside Amy Schumer. Apparently he's going to be Blake in Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later, which apparently is a new series.
Well, he was in, First Day of Camp, and
yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, again, how have I not seen that? Yes, I get it, Mike. I haven't seen every episode of Drunk History. I was not aware that he did an episode of Drunk History, which I got to go back and check out. And you even look at some of the movies he's been in. I mean, he was in the original Hairspray, like a great John Waters film, Dead Poets Society.
Yep.
Going down a few of these up until Muppets in Space. I haven't really Things to Do in Denver When You Dead. I have seen that movie. I don't remember him in that. Muppets in Space, SWAT, Four Brothers. That's the one I couldn't remember. I know I'd seen him in a movie with Marky Mark.
Yep.
And I know his name's Mark Wahlberg, folks. Don't send
It's
any
Marky
mail.
Mark. We know.
You're marked for life. You might not want to sing that song at a concert when your brother pulls you up on stage, sir, but
you'll do it anyway. He'll
go up on stage, but there was a video I saw a couple years ago of 50 Cent was throwing a show, and he saw the New Kids and Mark were in attendance, and he brought them on stage, and I was like, guys, I got to get you to sing this song. Mark, you know the words. And then Good Vibration starts playing. Mark just kind of waves him off and walks off stage. Like he will walk out of a christening if somebody tries to get him to sing that song. That's how much he doesn't deny it, but he will not sing it out loud. So, and yeah, I haven't really seen it in any movies since then. The TV show Sports Night, which was a brilliant series.
Yep.
Wish I could find that DVD set. Looking at Keith Coogan, I think I've seen. I would have thought he had done some TV. Like, I'm just going off the wiki, not IMDb. I've seen, I think, about half the movies on his wiki list of his filmography.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
Adventures in Babysitting. Vincent D'Onofrio is the one true Thor. Toy Soldiers, which, God, I have seen that multiple times, and I'm fairly certain I own that in a 4-pack with some other action-y movies, but I haven't watched that in forever.
I forgot he was Brad, and Neil even asked if Don't Tell Mom was the sequel to Adventures in Babysitting.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. It's like, oh, Neil's just...
Hey, we're coming off of really, really bad Sonic cartoons. Both of those 90s series are just awful, so give Neil a break.
There's no excuse. I give none, I expect none.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
In the Army now.
Yeah, Keith Coogan's done some stuff recently. Upcoming, he's got Limelight later this year, I guess. Beautiful Garden. Tale of Two Corys. Isn't that supposed to be about the dead people? Yeah, Feldman and Haim. Well, Feldman's still alive, but Haim isn't.
Sadly.
Yeah. So.
No, he's one of those guys, like, maybe you haven't seen a lot of what he's been doing lately, but he's kept busy. Like, he hasn't really hurt for work at any time. Looking on the IMDb.
Yep. The soundtrack for this is so great.
Well, one of us has to get a job.
Well, I'm not gonna.
Well, we don't have any choice. We'll flip for it. Mama Celeste face up, I go to work. Mama Celeste face down, you're selling carnations on a freeway off-ramp. Okay, I'll get a job. But you gotta stay here and watch the kids, okay?
Hey, no problem, Twisted Sister.
Okay. I can get a job at a clothing store or something. I mean, they'll hire me in a second. It'll be great.
Hey, you gotta squeeze the fat out of those burgers better.
finish reading Dianetics or something?
Oh, no. He's just on helium.
Brian! Another happy delivery! Swell. You gotta put chili on those clown dogs. And keep it moving.
Absolutely love the soundtrack. You got Dragon the Line, Perfect World. I Only Have Eyes for You. What was the other one? Life's Rich Tapestry. This movie has some of the best songs from that era, I think. At least for what this movie is. I mean,
yeah.
You're not going to sit here and get, a Phil Collins or a New Kids on the Block or whatever. The music that's done in this film fits the movie perfectly for every single scene.
I don't think it really, at the time, I enjoyed it, but it's not stuff that I was listening to at that time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, outside of the Twilight Zone theme, which was probably the only thing that I would have recognized, while watching this movie back then, I mean, a lot of these artists I don't recognize outside of Alias and Spinal Tap. Give Me Some Money. We got, Alias, was that the...
That's Perfect World.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of a different band when I said Alias. No, because there's the remake of The Blob from 1988 has this band called Alien that has a really good song in there. It doesn't seem really appropriate for the subject matter, but that's another podcast in and of itself. But yeah, no, the soundtrack is perfectly fine. I watched it last night and prepped for this. It's good and it works. It's just it doesn't hook me. It doesn't have the same attractiveness to me that it does for you. So,
well, yeah, because this is just one of those movies that I just absolutely love to watch, and I hadn't seen it in a number of years. Actually, you weren't even going to be the co-host on this originally, because back, before I went to California and my heart sank into the Pacific Ocean, my ex and I were actually going to cover this. Yeah. Poor substitution. Anyway,
And just to go back to the cast for one thing, we did mention Danielle Harris is part of this. She's a former child actress. She is very much the modern definition of the scream queen from horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's ever seen, like, I think it's parts 4 and 5 of the original, of the Halloween series, you know, she's, was it Jamie Lloyd, who is basically, she's like the daughter of Jamie Lee's character from the original Halloween. You know,
okay.
She's like the last family member of Michael Myers, and she's been in other stuff too. It's have you ever seen The Last Boy Scout?
Nope.
Yeah, you haven't seen that?
Nope.
How can you not have seen that movie, Mike? Reasons.
There's just certain things that I just did not pay attention to.
It's not the greatest.
And if you mention any single, like, if anyone asks me why haven't I seen all of the Halloween movies or all of the other Freddy movies or all of the other Jason movies, it's one very simple answer. I watched about 4 of them between the ages of 5 and 9, and I was scarred for life, and I just do not watch horror films anymore. Horror is not my thing. It's great if everybody else likes it, that's fine. It ain't for me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm just saying, I saw her in this. I had a mad crush on her as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Still have a mad crush on her now because she grew up really nice. And, but no, if you ever watch The Last Boy Scout, highly recommend it. Damon Wayans, Bruce Willis, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, the soundtrack is, like I said, decent. I'm just looking at some of the trivia on IMDb for this movie. Apparently, Christina Applegate had to gain 10 pounds for this role, and then she had to lose that. She lost that weight again when she went back to working on Married with Children, because apparently Fox wanted her to be that thin, because Kelly Bundy would never gain weight like that.
Oh my God.
And apparently, what's the problem?
I did not know. I have not looked at Christina Applegate's filmography in a very long time. I had no idea she was the voice of Brittany in the Chipmunk sequels.
Yes, she was.
Oh my God! Why?
Justin Long from the Mac PC commercials was Alvin, and Matthew Gray Gubler from Criminal Minds is Simon.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse McCartney is Theodore. God help me, I love the first one of those movies. That one was tolerable at best. I refuse to watch the Squeakquel. Any of the Squeakquels.
The Squeakquel and the Squeakquel and Chipwrecked. Yeah.
And I tried watching that new cartoon, and I was just recoiled in horror.
The new cartoon was okay, but the movies were just weird. I will say right now, I don't care what anyone tells me. I will always have a negative reaction to this, but it's nice to see her on screen with Chevy Chase, but I'm sorry, Vacation was a horrible sequel. I would rather watch Vegas Vacation than the 2015 Vacation, because 2015 Vacation pretty much is the last 5 to 10 years of every stupid adult kid-like fart joke. Oh my God. Ugh. Humor these days sucks in movies. It just does.
You know, it doesn't always hit the mark.
No.
But looking at Christina Applegate's filmography here, she has some of my favorite movies in the last while. Like, she's got, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Mars Attacks, Jane Austen's Mafia, which is one of my favorite parody, airplane-style movies of all time. She was in The Big Hit. I love that movie. And it also had Marky Mark in it.
Yes, it did.
He's looking down the thing. There's other ones. Anchorman, that's...
2. Or both of them.
2, and Wake Up.
Oh, okay. It was both of them. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was just the second one.
Huh. I'm just looking at this. There was a sequel to Cats and Dogs?
Yes, sadly there was.
Oh, dear God. I feel the intense urge to watch that movie.
No, don't. Because I don't think it has Spider-Man in it, so don't even.
Yeah. All right, Doom Machine it is.
Yeah.
But maybe we should cover the plot.
Yeah, well, we had to get the cast out of the way. Yeah, the plot of this, pretty much to sum it up, it's
Eddie Valiant's girlfriend from Roger Rabbit goes on vacation, leaving the kids.
Wait. No. You've already fucked it up. Eddie Valiant's girlfriend is Rose Lindsay, the boss, not the mother.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I read the cast.
See?
wrong.
So basically, Sue Ellen Crandall and the other Crandall kids, their mom goes to Australia for 3 months, leaving the kids supposedly home alone with Sue Ellen in charge. But Mrs. Sturak drives up in this classic car that apparently Liza Minnelli will steal later. And Mrs. Sturak she seems like a sweet little old lady, but she is a wretch and a half once the mother leaves.
She's the babysitter from hell.
Yeah.
And she seems like such a nice lady until the claws come out, and then Zach is on the Mac. Oh God, I can't believe I just said that out loud.
I can't believe you just said that out loud. Anyway, Zach is wooing his moon goddess Cynthia, and she pulls the two of them out of the car, tells the little trollop to go home, tells him to be in bed. She tells Melissa to get out of the tree or something or other, or to stop doing. Oh no, she dresses her up, sugar and spice, and Melissa just flips her off, and she turns the TV off and tells little Walter to write a 10-page report on the life of an aardvark by tomorrow morning. Oh God, I'm glad she died in this movie. This woman.
I can honestly say I have never. And again, the actress that played Mrs. Sturak,
she has long since passed away.
Yeah, Eda Marin. I'm sure she was a lovely lady in life, and she was not her character. But I have never wanted a character in anything I have watched to die in a fire as much as Mrs. Sturak. And I'm going to say this, and I do not say this lightly. I would put almost, by the slimmest of margins, put here on the same level of douchebaggery as the Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four: World's Greatest Heroes.
Good.
I do not say that lightly, people. And if you go back
and
listen to the Tooncast episode that we recorded on that, because I loathe that Johnny Storm. Anyway, yeah, Mrs. Sturak dies, and they have this great kind of horror comedy build-up where Mrs. Sturak and Sue Ellen going in to check on her because they haven't heard from her in a while, and she's sitting in this easy chair, and they turn around, and it's kind of like the reveal in Psycho where they spin the mummified body of Mrs. Bates around, and she's dead.
And the reason why she was dead is because she had a heart attack. I guess, again, go back to the scene of her telling all the kids to stop doing what they're doing and do what she wants them to do. She ends up going into Kenny's room, and that's what gives her the heart attack because, posters with skulls on nipples and weed and
Slayer posters up there.
Yeah, all kinds of scary stuff that little old ladies aren't used to. When I was watching this earlier before we started the recording, I'm like, lady, did you not see the caution sign on the front of the door before you opened it? And she opens it, and her face just goes wide-eyed with terror. It's like,
oh, God.
Oh,
yes.
my God.
And I'm not saying, I don't hate any of the kids. There was a point with his drug use that Kenny needed to be beaten with a sack full of doorknobs and bricks.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
I think I think you're right. The thing with Kenny is all of these characters start out as one point in their life. And throughout the film, each of them, even Sue Ellen, learns things as you go along. And I think Kenny has probably out of the other siblings, outside of Sue Ellen's character arc, he has the best character arc of instead of blowing off school to have a beer buzz or a weed session or whatever else, he's going to go back and he betters himself as the movie goes along.
Oh yeah, outside of Zach, Walter, and Melissa, who are they've still got that the glorious ignorance of youth to go on. but yeah, it's the two oldest siblings do the most growing up. I mean, particular Kenny, because like he gets sober and learns how to cook like Julia goddamn Child, which is one of my favorite scenes when they get to that. But what is it? And I'm not saying that Mrs. Crandall was a bad mother. How damaged are these kids? Because they get over a dead body in like 5 minutes flat, throw her into a steam trunk, drop her off at the mortuary, and then they're like, okay, but we still got the money. Oh shit, she had it on her.
But again, going to your trying to find the money thing, going to your supposed plot about messing with the body. I'm glad they got to a point where they realized that was not an option, that one of them was going to have to get a job. So I like that the movie went in that angle versus trying to go back there and,
And I'm not going to lie, like, just the dawning look of horror on their faces when they realize they don't have any money. Mm-hmm. And the even worse because of what, Sue Ellen wanted to go on, like, a trip to Europe with her friends, and she couldn't because...
She had to stay home. Yeah, she had to stay home with the kids.
And just the creeping dawning of horror on her face. She's like, I have to be an adult now.
Yep.
And in the years since I've seen this movie, whenever I have rewritten my resume, when I've been looking for jobs, I always flash back to this. God, I wish I had a book like that right now. Because when you think, and I'm not saying like the jobs I have been bad. It's just. There's not a lot to work with my job history, so I can't get all that creative without being an outright liar.
Yeah.
And I always think about that scene where Sue Ellen is fabricating this resume.
I love how she's.
This is after. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wiki. This is after she gets her initial job of working at Clown Dog.
Yeah, after working at Clown Dog. Working at Clown Dog, oh god. It's not that job that I would hate, it's Mr. Egg. Mr. Egg can go die in a fire. I mean, seriously.
Well, given looking at the health violations that were readily apparent at that place, I'm surprised Josh didn't die in a fire. Because that place looks like it's like 3 days from falling apart from all the roaches.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't quite that bad. But yeah, it was a horrible job. She does meet Josh and kind of get to know him, or Brian, the character's name.
Brian's the character name, yeah.
Get to know him. She forges her resume, and she just applied for like a receptionist job.
Yeah, she just, well, again, it's, part of the story that she goes to the reception point upstairs when, Carolyn, the mouse brown hair chick who has a chip on her shoulder, you are to go down to personnel, this, that, and the other thing, and that's when Rose comes in. The thing about her and Brian, watching the Grunion run, their dates in this movie remind me so much of a movie that would come out, 6 years after this, in Good Will Hunting with Will and Skylar. That's what their dates here remind me of, because in Good Will Hunting we had, you're hoping for a good night kiss. Oh, I was hoping for a good night lay, but I'll take a kiss anyway. And, they do the whole burger kiss scene. That's what these dates here kind of remind me of, is that kind of fun, kind of whimsical type thing. And who hasn't bounced on one of those bouncy things in the toy store? I mean, come on. And I'm not talking about as kids either.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. That's such a childish thing to do.
You did it last week. Don't lie.
No, it wasn't last week.
It was last month.
They don't sell those at any of the places in Saskatoon that sell toys. I've looked.
Wow. Talk about a one-horse town.
Oh, there are several horses. Some of them are dead, and people keep beating them. But back to the movie.
Ew. That's disgusting.
But yeah, so Sue Ellen gets this job, and she discovers she's got a kind of a knack for fashion design. Like, who knew?
Well, she's got a knack for fashion design. She just doesn't have a knack for using the computer or doing the QED report or any of the analytics.
Well, yeah. I mean, it becomes quite a juggling act. I do love, like, when she's going out, the scene where everyone's like, we're hungry. We want breakfast. And I just jug of milk, Captain Crunch, big ass bowl, multiple spoons.
Yep.
Enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, it's God. I love this movie, but I also wanted to punch David Duchovny so many times.
Didn't we all?
And there's like, I love, like, again, like we said, Kenny has, like, not to knock Sue Ellen, because she is like this, Christina Applegate is the quote unquote star. She's the focus of the story, but they have that, like, oh my god scene where Walter's just watching cartoons, and they don't have cable. They've just got like an old TV aerial. Like, Jesus, like, this is, like I said, this is like that middle of the road. This is probably one of the last kids doing dangerous things in film, and where he crawls out on the roof to fix the aerial. And I believe this is after dishes are done, man.
Yeah, it was after that.
Where Kenny proves that he's quite adept at shooting a gun while stoned. Who knew? And but Walter climbs on the roof to fix the aerial, and he ends up falling off and breaking his arm. And they have that great scene where Sue Ellen loses her shit with Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, like, he's bummed out because his little brother's hurt, and he feels guilty for not paying attention, and he starts watching all the cooking shows, and, like, by the end of the movie, I'm not saying he's like a cordon bleu chef, but Jesus Christ, man, you can cook.
Yep.
Like, when you look at that spread he makes at the end there, and he gets one of his one friend with the chainsaw, or he's trying to, like, just use the little hammer to chip away at the ice, and he hurts himself, and he grabs the other thing, and he just starts wailing on the ice for, like, the big presentation, because Sue Ellen, did she, I just watched it last night. Did she offer to host the party, or was it her boss said we can show?
No. So what happens is the buyers and all that stuff hated the uniform thing, and Rose says, we're all going to be out of jobs tomorrow. GAW is going to go down. Yada yada yada. And then that's when Sue Ellen goes down and starts designing stuff and coming up with designs and whatever else. And then we get to a point in the movie where she's like, "Oh, you should have plenty of money in petty cash, to rent a banquet hall." And she says, "Oh, but those are so impersonal. We can do it at my house. My house is fabulous." And that's how they get the presentation at the Crandall house. And I think they built that pool, because I don't remember that pool being there before that. I don't remember.
Like I said, folks, I watched this last night, and I worked this afternoon or today, so it's just a touch fuzzy. I think they might have had it, but it's just like run down, because when you see the house, it's the grass is all brown, and like, the whole area just vaguely looks like a demilitarized zone. But with all the kids, like, it's one of those great things. Again, you don't see this in family comedy movies anymore, where the whole family comes together and wow, we actually had a kick-ass place all along. Because they almost look like they're like with the fence and everything, like where Mrs. Sturak parks. It just kind of looks like they're out in like some house out in the sticks.
Yep.
And they kind of are, but I mean, by the time they hold the parties together, like, they have transformed this place.
Yep. It's actually the house that was actually used is located in Canyon Country, California.
Yeah,
it's in Santa Clarita, California.
Ooh, Santa Clarita Diet. I still have to watch that show.
Okay, then.
That's discussed off there. But yeah, and the party's growing great. Sue Ellen, everyone's having a good time, and then her mom comes home, and it all falls apart. And
it all falls apart, and another plot line we haven't really mentioned is Gus and his philandering, because that comes to a head at the party. But Gus, who is supposed to be Rose's main squeeze, it keeps coming on to Sue Ellen and whatever else. By the time we get to the party, she takes Melissa's squirt gun and squirts Gus in the pants, and she tells Rose, Gus has been coming on to me, yada, yada, yada. We get Carolyn and Bruce, and they get their car back all toilet papered up.
And there's that whole subplot where they find out that Sue Ellen isn't as old as she is, and she's been lying, and they're planning on blackmailing her.
Yeah.
And I love how Brian kind of saves the day with the show, where he shows up in the clown dog truck in his uniform. Yeah. And Sue Ellen kind of plays off of that before her mom comes home. But, it all worked. She apologized to Rose, and she works out. It kind of works out in the end where she finds out her designs have saved the company. Mm-hmm. I love it's this ultimate moment where Sue Ellen has learned true responsibility. Yeah. Where, Rose offers her a job as her actual assistant, and Sue Ellen declines in favor. I need to go to school and get an education first. Yeah. And this is one of those movies where I was like, I know the first time I saw it, I was like, no, take the job. And then years later when you see it again, it's like, no, you made the right call.
I honestly, if I was in her position, I probably would have taken the job because, let's face it, the national college debt today is astronomical. So, I mean, and I know that, and that's one thing we never really talked about, but Mrs. Crandall is going away for 3 months. She had to leave enough money for them to survive for 3 months with Mrs. Sturrock. And obviously that money went to the two guys that, buried Mrs. Sturrock. But it's one of those things where Mrs. Crandall must have a job good enough to get, or they must have savings enough to get them by for 3 months, because it seems like they live a fairly rich lifestyle. I mean,
well, she had to leave enough money for the kids for 3 months, and she could also afford to go to Australia for 3 months. So clearly she had been saving a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sue Ellen, she's going to school. Rose is going to pull some strings to get her into Vassar, which is that just a straight up design school or?
Yeah, Vassar is
I've heard of it. I know not a lot about it, but she's gonna go to school, and they're still gonna be friends, and presumably she's still gonna get that job at GA. I love how when Carolyn and Bruce show up and they're like trying to pull their shit, and it's not gonna work now. I love it when douchebags in the movies at this period, where it all comes undone and they realize they're not going to get anything out of this, and just that look, like the Schadenfreude is so good in this movie. No. And Sue Ellen and Brian make up, and then I love that scene at the end. Where's Mrs. Sturrock? And they go to the morticians, who they don't know what her name is, so they take the words off the note the kids put with her corpse. Nice old lady inside, died of natural causes.
Yep. Vassar it's a coeducational liberal arts college in the town of Poughkeepsie, New York. Here in the U.S., it was founded in 1861 by Matthew Vassar. It was the first degree-granting institution of higher education for women in the United States. It became coeducational in 1969.
Okay.
So it's a liberal arts college. So design obviously is one of those.
Oh yeah. But yeah, again, like we said at the top, we both love this movie. Mm-hmm. It's one of those movies. It's one of those movies. Like when you look at the poster, I gotta say this is one of the first movies that I really remember where that I remember just being like this set-up photo sort of thing, like a lot of posters are nowadays. Mm-hmm. But it's not like a lot of, like in the last few years, and there's videos on YouTube, multiple videos dedicated to why do movie posters suck now. Because you look in the day, we've gone from the epic art of Drew Struzan to teal and golden yellow being predominant colors in posters, and even when those colors aren't really used in the movie at all. This is like a great poster. Like, he's got Christina Applegate, she's the star. You got the kids fanned out behind her. Mrs. Sturrock, her legs are sticking up out of the thing with
Out of the ground.
Yeah, out of the lines. No rules, no curfews, no baths, no nagging, no pulse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. For me, it's always been a nostalgia thing, but it's always, every time I do watch it, I enjoy it. I'll give it I really don't have any negative. I mean, there are certain things like Kenny's pot usage and things like that, or wondering what kind of job the mother has where she can afford, a 3-month vacation to Australia, plus being able to support the family for 3 months while she's gone, even though obviously they don't get that money because it's part of the plot. But overall,
Child Protective Services would have been all over her if they had caught wind of this.
I know. I'll give it a 4.5. What about you?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5 too. Like I said, it's certainly time has taken some of the shine off the movie, that sort of thing. Nothing really stopped Christina Applegate from being funny, because she's pretty much been funny her whole career.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Jessie, which I wish I could find the DVDs for that, but that's been out of print for years. But no, it's a great movie. It's not a must see, but I would highly recommend it. This is one of those, like, it's Friday night, you don't really want to go out. If you come across this on the Netflix or the Hulus,
it's not on either of them, sadly.
Well, my point stands. If you have it, regardless of reality, if you happen to find these on the Netflixes and the Hulus, watch it. You won't be disappointed.
But you can't watch it because it's not on them.
I'm trying to make a joke here. Let it die.
But the joke is dead because it's not on them. I would say something about finding it on Amazon DVD for like $5 or something, but it's because it's not streaming anywhere, sadly. So yeah. We're going to take a quick break, come back to close the show after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
We are back here on Movie Weekend Reviews. Time to close out episode 136. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I've seen this twice in the last year and a half. Once with my ex, and once, when we're getting ready to do this podcast. It's a movie I can go back to every now and then, but I had not seen this since about 93, before last year, I think. Mm-hmm. I do love the movie. I do think it still holds up for me. Nothing about it really angers me or irks me or anything like that. I'm glad we only saw Cynthia once, because, I mean, she just seemed like a total bitch. Because, we have those Where Are They Now things. That's how I found out about Zach's actor. And I know I'm sitting here smiling and laughing, and I shouldn't, because the guy's been dead for 17 years, but it's one of those things where if you don't keep up with these people, or if you don't keep up with certain people, you just never know what happens to them, and when you do, you're like, oh, wow, dang.
Well, yeah, because, like, I don't know if you read this, like, I did some research on that, and, like, how production on Don't Tell Mom almost shut down because of his drug use then. Like, that's how bad it was for him at the time.
Yeah.
And the fact that he survived, like, another 9 years and finally, he finally passed. And I don't mean that in any good or bad way. It's always sad like that. But, dude.
Yep. It's crazy. It's so, so crazy. So that's going to do it for us here on M-Wire this week. We're going to come back next Sunday with another matinee. JT will be back for episode 137. Sadly, we can't make any Clerks jokes because we won't be talking about any Clerks movies then. Where can the people find you online, sir?
Well, they can find me on the podcast Comic Connoisseurs every week with Ben, the host, Carver, and Red Ink. We talk about a lot of comic books and comic book related stuff. You can also find me on Twitter at JT from Saskatoon.
Awesome. I am at TFG and Mike. You can follow at Geekcast Radio and also at GCRN M-Wire for all the other network and M-Wire stuff as well. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. Comment on this and all of other episode posts. We will catch you next time, folks. Keep those film reels rolling.
Remember these things? They're great. Come on, bounce with me.
No, come on, I feel stupid. We are too old to bounce.
Oh, come on. Bouncing is an ageless pastime.
Man, come on.
Would you feel more comfortable if I started bouncing first?
No.
Come on.
Why'd you stop?
Good moment.
Hey. You're gonna have to get off those things.
Wild Shark's playing at Club Largo next week. You wanna go?
Nah, you have to be over 21.
Oh yeah, drag.
You've just listened to Movie Week in Review on GeekCastRadio.com. If you would like to leave feedback on the show, there are many ways to do so. First, you can visit the website, GeekCastRadio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. Be sure to rate our show on iTunes and leave us feedback. You can follow us on Twitter at GCRNMwire. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can email us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.
In a world, there, I said it, happy,